Yesterday, I did a video on what the college football playoff rankings should have looked like. Well, today we're going to go in kind of a different direction. So I'm going to give you my top 25, who I think the best 25 teams are, and it has nothing to do with resume, has nothing to do with who you beat or anything like that. I'm just going by, these are really more like power rankings. How are the teams playing at this point in the season? Who do I think would beat another team? That's just basically, I think number one would beat everyone. I think number two would beat everyone else. I think number three would beat the teams behind them. So that's the way I'm ranking these teams. And someone's not going to pay attention in the beginning of this video. They're going to comment and say, how can you put a 3-loss team over a 1-loss team or something like that? Don't let that be you. It's clear. Power rankings. We are talking about power rankings here. It's going to be in the title of the video and on the thumbnail. So let's get into my rankings. And again, this is totally my opinion. You can argue your opinion. That's fine. Yeah, and I'd love to see, like, how would you rank the teams? I'd like to see other people's opinions. But there is no, like, right or wrong answer here. This is just my personal opinion. And, I don't know why anyone cares about my opinion, but it seems like some of you guys do. So I just thought I'd make a video. All right, so let's go to the bottom, 21 through 25. Iowa State actually finished the season pretty hot. They, I think, won their last 4 games. This is a team that it was, they started pretty good, and then they kind of went down, and then they finished strong. But the way they were playing late in the season, I think Iowa State probably would have been one of the best 25 teams. I think Houston, probably a little bit better than Iowa State. I've got them at 24. Tulane is the only group of 5 team that I've got in my top 25. I do think Tulane would beat Houston, and I think they would beat Iowa State and the other teams that you don't see ranked here. But I don't think Tulane would beat Washington. I don't think they beat Michigan, so that's why I have them ranked behind them. It's really pretty simple the way I'm ranking these teams. Again, resume out the window. Record doesn't matter. That's why you don't see a record beside these teams. But yeah, Tulane at 23. And then Michigan, they beat Washington pretty easily head-to-head. I know it was several weeks ago. I don't think a ton has changed with these two teams. I think Washington's probably one of the top 25 teams in college football. Now, again, this goes totally against how I believe you should rank teams, because I think resume should matter. I think you should earn your way into the rankings. So I don't even like doing rankings like this, but it is fun just to look at who would have been the top 25 teams based off how they were playing. And again, it's just my personal opinion. All right, so that's 21 through 25. Next we go 16 through 20. Arizona, another team that finished the season really strong. Missouri was a quality football team. They didn't have the best resume, but I think Missouri's a good team. I think Tennessee's a good team. I know Vandy kind of put it on them late in that game to close out the season, but I still think Tennessee is a very quality team. I think Tennessee would beat Missouri. I think Tennessee would beat Arizona. I think Iowa would beat Tennessee. I think Iowa probably the best 4-loss team. I don't think I have any 4-loss teams ranked ahead of them. The offense is so much better this year compared to what it has been. Now they've still got a ways to go to really become a contender in the Big Ten, a team that could maybe win a Big Ten championship, maybe could get, well, I wouldn't even say get to the college football playoff, because I don't, you could go 10-2 and make the playoff and not really even be, you could be 2 games behind, just like this year. Ohio State and Indiana, they were undefeated. Iowa could have gone 10-2, and they could have been in the college football playoff, but they really weren't contenders in the Big Ten. So again, they've got a ways to go to really become, get to the top of the Big Ten. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but you like the strides that they're making forward and the changes they've made on offense with Lester there as the offensive coordinator. I think Utah's a pretty solid football team. I think they'd probably beat Iowa. That'd be a really good game. And I will say that I said I didn't use resume or record or anything. If I really couldn't decide on 2 teams, if I was back and forth on who would win that game, who do I really think is the better team, in that situation, I did go with resume, which I think we're really only going to see that when we get to the top of these rankings, because I had a really hard time with a couple of teams. But that's 16 through 20. So then we go to 11 through 15. I think BYU at 15. Again, on the video yesterday, I said BYU should have been in the college football playoff. They earned their way in. Do I think they're one of the best 12 teams? No, I don't. I think they're probably about number 15. I think USC would beat BYU if they played this weekend on a neutral field. So I've got USC ahead of BYU. I've got Alabama at 13. I don't think they're one of the best 12 teams the way they're playing right now, but they earned their way in. They had a really strong resume, and I do think they should be in the top 25. Oklahoma, I think, is a team that really is overrated in terms of their ranking compared to how good they actually are. Again, they deserve to be ranked where they are. I agree with their ranking, but I don't think this team is really that good. The offensive struggles just really worry me when it comes to Oklahoma. So I've got Oklahoma at 12 and Miami at 11. So if these were playoff rankings, Miami would not be in the college football playoff if we had to put the conference champions in there. But let's just say we could go by power rankings and it didn't matter what conference you were in. Then you'd have Miami and Oklahoma at the bottom. They would be in the college football playoff, which, again, is not what I think should happen. This goes against everything that I believe. But you have to admit that the games would be more competitive if you had Miami and Oklahoma in there. For example, as we get to the top 10, we would have Oklahoma playing against, my number 5 team, which we don't see here. That is Oregon. I'll just go ahead and give it away. So we'd have Oklahoma playing Oregon, and then we'd have Miami playing Notre Dame in a rematch. We'd have Ole Miss hosting Texas A&M, Texas and Vandy in a rematch. So those would be, I think, much better first-round matchups. But, again, this is not what I think should happen. It's just, again, if we rank these teams based on how good they were playing to close out the year. So I realize Texas had 3 losses, but they beat Vanderbilt late in the season. They beat Texas A&M in their final game. I think Texas was playing like a top 10 team to close out the year. You could look at the Georgia game and say, what about that game? Well, Georgia's playing like one of the best 2 teams in the country. So I don't fault Texas too much for that game. I really believe Texas would beat Oklahoma or Miami or Alabama or BYU or any of those teams that I have ranked behind them. And again, they just beat Vandy and Texas A&M, so I don't think you could rank Vanderbilt and Texas A&M ahead of Texas if you're ranking teams this way. Vandy and Texas A&M, that was a really close one for me. I think Vanderbilt probably a little bit better, though. I think Vandy would probably beat Texas A&M, but it's close. That is a really close one. Almost went with Texas A&M just because of their record, but I do think Diego Pavia would get it done for Vandy. They would win that game. So, yeah, we're talking about Vanderbilt and Texas being, in my opinion, 2 of the top 10 teams in the country, and they're not getting a chance to play for the college football playoff. But they don't deserve to because the other teams did more during the season. They had stronger resumes. They proved more. They earned their way in. So that's not how I would rank the teams, but just based off how good the teams were playing, I think you could put them there. And, Notre Dame, a team that I don't think should be in the college football playoff. They shouldn't be in the top 10 based off of resume and all that. But just how good do I think they are? I think they're probably the 5th or 6th best team in the country, and I was very close. So that was one of my ties. I have Oregon at 5, Notre Dame at 6. That was a tie for me. I was back and forth. I did wind up going with the resume in that scenario. So, again, Notre Dame, I would love to see them play in the playoff in terms of getting competitive games, but I think we have to look at the regular season. And, you really look at Notre Dame, they played 3 quality opponents, 3 really, really solid opponents. They went 1-2 in those games. They had a losing record. And at the end of the day, that's what kept them out of the college football playoff. So the top 5 looks like this. Really, same as I think it would be ranked if you went by resume and all that. I do think Ohio State and Georgia are a little bit better than Texas Tech, but not much. I think that's pretty close. I think Georgia and Ohio State that's the one I had the hardest time with. Who would win that game if they played? And that's where I went with resume. I think Georgia has the stronger resume. That's why I have Georgia at 2. And really, Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State are almost all 3 tied for me. I mean, those 3 teams, those are the teams. And you know what? I'm actually going to say these 5 teams, these are the 5 teams that I think have a real shot to win a national championship. And I think Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State are basically tied. I mean, it's going to be tough to figure out, who I'm going to pick to win it all. I think those 3 teams are very, very even. And Texas Tech is not far behind. I think they've got a real shot. And I think Oregon, the pieces could come together for them to maybe win it all. So these are your 5 teams that I think are playing the best, that have the best chance to win a national championship. And that's how I would do my top 25 if we were going power ranking style and we were just ranking the teams based off of how good they're playing right now. Again, give me your top 25 with this formula. Don't give me resume and all that. I want to know just who you think. And if you don't want to go top 25, just give me your top 10. Who do you think the 10 teams that are playing the best right now? Who do you think those teams are? Let me know down in the comments below.